All right. So again, information. One, yep, good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Important information right there. So I know we got 8 different scores that we're dealing with. All right. First step of finding the mean. All right. What's another word for the mean? Average. There we go. Mean slash average. All right. So I'm just gonna put average in parentheses up there. If they ask you for either one of those, same thing. All right. So what's the first step in finding the mean? Did y'all get that? All right. So we should get 673. All right. And then once you do that, okay, we are dividing by what? What is that? 8. Good.
Oh, wait. I forgot.
Oh, no.
Wait. Hold on. What? Hold on. If you divide by 8, won't you get 84.1?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
All
All right. Good. Good. So once you get this, 673, we're going to divide by 8 because we have 8 numbers. All right. That's going to bring my total to 84.1. That will be my grade in this class. This is my mean. All right. Next, we got median. All right. What was that crucial first step you got to do? All right. So we got 64, 72, 81, 81, 80. To the left. All right. So what's the rule when I got 2 numbers left in the middle? Add them all up, and then. All right. 164. All right. And then we got to divide by 2. Did you divide by 8?
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, I forgot the number.
There you go. So you got to divide by 2 because we only added these 2 numbers up to get 164.
No, what I'm saying is like.
Oh, you missing a number. Gotcha.
Number.
Gotcha. Yep. So 164 divided by that is going to give me 82. That's going to be my median. That's my median. All right. Mode. Most often, which number happens the most? Good. 81. There's my mode. And then
The difference between the lowest and highest values.
nice. So what am I going to type in the calculator? Highest number was what?
100.
64. There we go. All right, and we should get good. Whatever that. Yep. What he just said? 36. There you go. 36. Good. Equals 36. There's my. Okay. All right, here we go. So yesterday we did multiplying decimals. All right, multiplying decimals. So I'm gonna give an example one real quick. All right, I'm gonna give an example one. So let's say we had 68 times 8.4. All right. First things first. Go ahead.
4 times 2.
4 times 2, which is
8.
good.
4 times 8.
Which is it's all good. There you go. 32. Alright. But keep in mind, let me show you a quick trick real quick. Alright, so I'm multiplying 4 times 8, right? I always, if I need to do this quick math in my head with no calculator, that's what I do when I get stuck. Alright? You can do it like that, or you know that if you multiply 8 times 4, you are starting with 8, right? I always like to do my multiples on the side if I have to. Alright? So now, I'm multiplying this times 4, so I can do 8 dots. Whatever number I just wrote down, 8 dots. Right there, just like that. So I know to get to my next number, I do this. I start from 8 and I count. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So my next number is 16. 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 1 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. Now I just count from 16 to get to my next number. So 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. 8 times 3 is 24. And then the last one is 8 times 4. Good. 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. Alright, so that's just a quick tip if you get stuck and you want a non-calculated question. Alright, which is what these are. Alright, so if that's 32, I put my 2 here and carry my 3. Okay, carry my 3. Now, 4 times 6. 4 times 6. Or 6 times 4, whatever. What we got? Good. 24 plus my 3, 27. And now that's nowhere for me to carry nothing to, so I just write the whole number. So 27. Okay.
And then you gotta add like 8 times 3.
All right, but what's the first step before I do that? What goes here?
0.
0. There we go. Can't forget that placeholder. There we go. All right, now we can start us off with the 8 times 2. Good. 8 times 2 is 16. Boom. Carry my 1. Okay. Now it's a tough one here. 8 times 8.
64.
There we go. Go. 8, 16, 24. And once I get to there, if I get stuck, we knew that 8 times 4 was 32, so I could have just kept this. I already wrote it over here. I could have just started at 32 and kept my numbers going. Right here. 30, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. Alright, and so on. I'm not going to do it down, but always use this if you get stuck, these dots. You just count them. Alright, that's all multiplication is counting. Alright, so we got 64 plus my 1 that I carried is 65, so I put my 5, carry the 1. And yep, carry the 6, my bad. Good. Carry the 6. So now we got 8 times 6.
6 times 8 is 48.
Good. 6 times 8 is 48. Alright. Plus my 6 that I carried. 48 plus 6. 54. And now, alright, 5, 4. Remember to keep my numbers lined up. Alright, after that, gotta add.
8 plus 0 is 0.
Good.
6 plus 2 is 8.
Hold on, 8 plus 0 is what?
Oh, 8 plus 0 is 8.
There we go. You good. I know. Here we go. 6 plus 2, 8. 7 plus 5. Carry my 1. Okay. Good. 4 plus 2 is 6. Plus my 1 is 7. And then
0 plus 5.
bring my 5 down. Good. Now, crucial last step. I got to figure out where my decimal goes. What did we say yesterday when we talked about the decimal?
Where do you go further? 8?
Right. Why?
It's because there's only one number. Like,
Hold on. Which 8? Which?
First one, I know.
This one?
Yeah. Got it.
So how many numbers do we got behind the decimal over here? 1 right here and 1 down here, right? So 2 total. So I need 2 numbers behind my decimal down here.
Yeah.
Right there. Alright. If there's 2 numbers behind the decimals, then the same goes right here.
I only
Boom.
said that is because I only thought that there was one number.
Yep. Yep, you got to count top and bottom there. Alright, and there's my number. There's my number. Now, I don't think you're going to, this was a tough one because I had some 8s in there. I don't think you're going to get one with the 8s on there. I think they know that it's a time test and they're not going to give you one with 8s. I would assume. But it's always good to know. Alright, and I think the reason you was able to call those things off, remember last year we did that timetable sheet?
Yeah.
I think that helped you a lot because you wasn't calling those off like that when we started last year. Okay. So maybe I need to print some of those off again. It just keeps you fresh. Yeah, because you start to memorize. It's not even like about. It's not even about knowing it. It's about memorizing it. Like I still memorize certain ones, and I don't even have to think about it just because I know them, I've seen it so many times. Like if you was to call off any single digit times single digit, I could probably say it like within a second. Just because when we used to do those multiplication drills like every day in third grade. All right, good. Yeah. All right, here we go. That was multiplying decimals. All right, I'm gonna pick one. I'm gonna pick one with less bigger numbers on here, so I'm gonna let y'all try this one. All right, so let's go 1.32 times 1.4. Go ahead, you can attempt it. I want you to attempt it on your own. You're good. All right, and then if you get stuck on something, let me know. I thought the recording stopped. I was about to be upset. All right, here we go. So this is how I should approach this. All right. Y'all got the process down, which is a good thing. All right, it was a simple thing. All three of y'all had one simple thing. All right, here we go. First thing is 4 times 2, which is 8. 4 times 3 is 12. Carry my 1. Okay, carry my 1. And then I got 4 times 1 is 4. Plus 1 is 5. Now, here's what happened. Y'all forgot to get rid of this now because I already used it. That was only for this right here. So it was still there, so y'all counted it at the second part.
No, yeah, I honestly just forgot.
Yep. So yeah, just make sure we don't use that twice. All right. So now we got one. My bad. Placeholder goes here. All right. Can't forget that. And then we start our problem for the bottom. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 1 is 1. All right. Remember, this is from the first time through, so this doesn't count. All right. So now I can add. Boom. So I got 8, 4, 8, and then 1. Okay. And then we got 3 numbers behind the decimal. Everybody was good on that. 1, 2, 3 numbers behind the decimal. Boom. Decimal goes there. Yep. Good. All right, we'll do one more just so I don't want y'all to get messed up with the carry and the 1 process. And again, I don't want to harp on this because it's going to be one question probably on the test with this. But my whole thought process is it's at the beginning. It's going if it's on there, it's going to be on non-calculated part. So I don't want to harp on it, but I do want you to be comfortable if you see this on the non-calculated section because it's easy points. You know what I mean? It's just multiplication.
I have a funny feeling on the non-calculated question. Like, you can get more points.
Here we go. So, first things first. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 1 is 1. Next row, I always start with my placeholder. All right, now I got 2 times 5 is 10. So I go 0, carry the 1. 2 times 4 is 8. Plus my 1 is 9. 2 times 1 is 2. Boom. All right, now I add.
I made a simple rookie mistake.
It's all good. It happens. We only on week 1 here. So 5 plus 0 is 5. 4 plus 0 is 4. 1 plus 9 is 10, so I go 0, carry the 1. All right, and then 1 plus 2 is 3. All right, now I figure out my decimals. 1, 2, 3. Boom. 1, 2, 3 behind the decimal. And I will say this is multiple choice, right? So I guarantee you there's going to be an answer on here that has 2 numbers behind the decimal place. So those little simple tricks like that, looking at a problem and be like, okay, I know that my answer needs to have 3 numbers behind the decimal, because up here in my problem it has 1, 2, 3 numbers behind the decimal. I should be able to look at the problem and narrow our answers. I guarantee you, all of your answers are not going to have 3 numbers behind the decimal place. So that's an easy process of elimination right there. All right, make sure you pay attention to that. All right, it'll save yourself some time for those times if you do get stuck and you miss a certain step in this. If you have to guess on it, you can look at that. 1, 2, 3 numbers behind the decimal, so my answer choice should reflect that. So if I see something like this, 4.71 as an answer choice, that's out because I only got 2 numbers behind the decimal. All right. All right, so you might see something like this, right, in the pretest or the beginning parts. It'll be like x minus 5 over x plus 3. All right, and your answer choices will be 1, negative 3, and 4. All right, let's say we see this, right? The question is going to say which of the following x values makes this undefined. All right, so undefined. Let's talk about what undefined means. All right, so if I see this and they ask me about it being undefined, all right, all that means is my denominator, which is the bottom of my fraction, totals to 0. All right, my denominator totals to 0. So if you want to write that in your notes, undefined equals denominator. I'm just going to write denom of 0. Everybody remember numerator and denominator, right? Numerator is the top of my fraction. Denominator is the bottom of my fraction. Okay? So up here, everything up here is my numerator. Down here is my denominator. So undefined means I have a denominator of 0. So what they're going to ask you on the test is, which of the following values will make this undefined? So you got to figure out, you got to plug in each one of these where x is on the bottom to see if it equals 0. So let's talk about this. If I was to plug in 1 for x, that would be 1 plus 3. Does that equal 0? Yeah, equals 4, right? But if I have negative 3 plus 3, will that give me 0? Yep, and I'm going to explain why. Alright, you may be thinking, how is that the case if I'm adding 3 to something, right? But I'm already in the negative. Alright, so let's think about a number line, right? Let's think about a number line. I got 0 right here. And then I got negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. Alright, if I'm looking at this number line, and if I'm starting here, boom, I got to add 3, which means I need to go right on the number line. Right. Alright, so I go 1, 2, 3. Look where I'm at, right at 0. Alright, so that's why when I'm starting at a negative and I add something to it, that doesn't mean my number's gonna be a high number. Because if I start at negative 3, I can only go to 0 if I add 3 to that. Here's another way I can know. I could flip these two around right now. With adding and subtracting, you can flip. So if I said 3, a positive 3 minus 3, alright, that equals 0.
I mean, even if you did negative 100 plus 100, it's still going to end up 0.
Exactly, because I started in negative.
And you're working your way to a positive. So.
Exactly. The only way I could end up at a higher number than 0 is if I add more, which is what we did on this last one. I'll end up going 1, 2, 3, 4, which will put me at 1. So negative 3 plus 4 is 1. Okay? Negative 3 plus 4 is 1. So that's why if you need this number line, do it. If you need to do a number line, do it. Alright, so let's go back to the problem. The value that will make my denominator equal 0 will be this. And more times than not, you're just looking for the opposite of what's down here. That's pretty much going to be your answer. All right, the only other times I've seen it, as I'll show you on this next problem, a different way I've seen it. All right, so let's look at this one. Same type of question. Which of these make my denominator equal 0? Well, I'm looking for undefined. All right, it says it's going to be which of the following values will make this undefined. All right, so again, all I have to do is fill in these for the x values. All right, so let's say I want to try this choice first. All right, this is basically the same thing as this right here. 3 parentheses 3 plus 3. All right, because I filled in this value for x. Every time I see an x,
okay.
I filled in this. I'm just trying to check. Yep, I just want to check each answer choice one by one. All right, so looking at this. Good. So this is what property? Remember what property is called? Starts with a D. Distributive property. All right. I want to multiply. Boom. And that. And we'll get to that. All right. But 3 times 3 is what, Brandon? 9. And then 3 times 3 again is. All right. So now I'm stuck with 9 plus 9, which is 18. Does that equal 0? For my denominator? No. Alright. If I have all positive numbers right here, this is never going to happen. So you should know that that's out. Same thing is going to be the case for this one. If I just plug in 5s right here, I'm just going to end up with a big number. Alright. More times than not, if you get one like this, with the parentheses, that's going to be your answer choice. So let's see why. Watch this. When I do 0 times 0 plus 3, alright, now I'm distributing a 0 to everything. Alright? So look at this. If I do 0 times 0, what is that? 0. And then 0 times 3 is 0. So now I got 0 plus 0 equals 0. If I multiply 0 times anything, it's 0. So again, keep that in mind when you're thinking about undefined. I'm looking for something that gives my denominator 0. If I see multiplication, the simplest thing to do is pick 0, because I know that multiplying 0 by whatever is going to give me 0. Alright, so if you see undefined with the parentheses, alright, keep that in mind. Alright, so when we're talking about functions, alright, linear functions, alright, it's usually involving a couple of things. You got coordinate points, you got tables, and you got graphs. Alright, those are the 3 ways I can see functions on the test. Alright, I do feel like you're going to see at least like 3 questions about functions. Alright, so first thing we need to know is what is a function while I'm talking about it. Alright, so right here I'm going to write functions. Let me zoom in for you. Alright, there's one rule for functions, okay? X values cannot repeat. That's all I need to know about functions. X values cannot repeat as far as knowing what it is. That's all I need to know. I'm going to put that in parentheses. Quotations. I lied. Quotation marks. Not parentheses. Alright? So functions means that X values cannot repeat. Alright, so let's talk about the first way that I might see this question. Alright, the first way that I might see this is with a table. Alright, I might get a table. So it's going to look something like this. Alright, over here I'm going to have X values. Over here I'm going to have Y values. Alright, what's going to happen is I'm going to get something like this. And I have to figure out what goes here. And then over here I'm going to have something like and usually this is a drag and drop problem. Alright, and I got to figure out what goes here. Now, this is much simpler than what you think. I promise. This is much simpler than what you think. I'll get some numbers to choose from. Alright, I'll get numbers to choose from. Alright, and then you'll have to drag and drop to these two missing spots. Flush. Alright, so let's think about this. My rule is that X values can't repeat. Alright, I know that that's my rule. Alright, so what I have to do is figure out which numbers from this answer choice box can I click and drag to both of these spots. Alright, so before I figure out what I can drag over there, which ones are off limits for the X values? Because that's my rule. X values can't repeat if I'm talking about functions. So, do I see any values over here that's already in my X column? Alright, 2 and what else? Good, 2 and 4, right? I see 2 right there, 4 right there, 2 and 4. So I'm going to go ahead and just cross those out on my thing. I can't use those. So now I got one more that's over here. What else? What's already over here? What's another one? What's the other one that's already over here on this side? 7. Now I'm down to 2 choices. The beauty of this is it doesn't matter which one I choose. It just can't be those ones I crossed out. So if I want to drag my 8 over here, I can. If I want to drag my 5 over here, I can. Alright, I just cannot drag anything that's already there. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and pick the first one I see that's not over there, which is my 8. So I'm going to drag my 8 right there. Alright, and on the computer it's going to be click and drag. Alright, I can click and drag it over there. Alright, so first thing I'm doing is putting my 8 there. Alright, and then over here, okay, Y values, I can put whatever I want to in that spot. The only rule is about X. If it's not dealing with X, then you're good. But the rule is that X values can't repeat. As long as this column right here has no repeating X values, the number that I pick for this Y value don't matter. I can pick whatever I want. Alright, so I can just drag whatever. I'll just drag the 5 over there because I haven't done it. Alright, you can drag whatever you want to that second column. But the rule is, I better not have no repeating values here in the X value. Okay? No repeating X values. Second way you can see it. Coordinate points. Alright, coordinate points. Let's say this is one of my answer choices. I'll do 2 answer choices. Let's say we got 3, 4.
So these variables that can't repeat.
So we're about to determine it right now. Alright, so first things first, when I'm dealing with coordinate points, right here, I'm going to write this over here. Alright, when I'm dealing with coordinate points, every coordinate point has an X value and it has a Y value. Alright, every coordinate point has an X value and a Y value. Alright, so when I look here, alright, if I need to label, when I get to this, I can. I can go X, Y. X, Y, X, Y. Now, you don't have to do this, but I'm just saying if you get confused as to which is the X value, which is the Y value, I can do that. Yeah.
Is this the thing that's your X minus Y?
Not yet.
Well, X1 minus Y.
That's slope. We'll get there. That's slope. Alright? This is just functions. Alright? X, Y, X, Y, X, Y. This is if I need to do this. I don't have to. Alright, but every coordinate point, maybe you start off doing it and you memorize it. You don't need to write that. Alright, so now, going back to my rule, they're going to ask me which of the following, you got to pay attention to the question, because I've seen it both ways. It might be which is a function, or they can say which one is not a function. Alright, so be wary of the wording of the question. They can get you on those. Alright, they may say which one is a function, or which one is not a function. So for this sake, I'm going to say which one is not a function. Alright, remember, for my rules, in order for it to be a function, x values cannot repeat. If I see repeating x values, it is not a function. Alright, so my question is, which one is not a function, which means I'm looking for which one has repeating x values. Which would be which choice? Which choice has repeating x values? A or B? B, what's my repeating x values? Boom. Right there. Alright, right there. Those are my repeating x values. So that is not a function. If the question was which one is a function, alright, if the question was which one is a function, it would be A. Because I see 3, 4, and 6. No repeating.
Okay, so this is why I got confused last year. So a function is a value that's not repeating.
X values, they don't repeat.
X values.
Yep.
Don't repeat is a function.
Is a function.
So something that does repeat is not a function.
Correct.
Okay.
Like right here.
It's because I thought it's the other way around last year, and that's how I got a lot of this messed up.
Gotcha. Yep. If you see repetition in the X column, not a function. Alright. Here's the last way you can see it. We've done the tables with the drag and drop. We're feeding this. Alright, and then the last way is with a graph. Alright. So we are doing some art here. Alright, now we got graphs. So the first graph I'm gonna draw. Alright. Yeah, that's River Mine on the playground. Alright, that's my first graph. Alright. So the simple way when you get graphs, alright, I'm gonna draw this first thing. Alright, you'll get something that looks like this. Okay? It may just give you this on the essay, is this a function? Alright? This is how you check. Vertical line test. If I can draw a line straight down this U right here, this sideways U, and I touch the line twice, which is once right here and once right here, it's not a function. Because why? Because my x values repeat. Alright, my x values are repeating right there. At this spot right here, both of I see two spots of -1 right here on the coordinate point. Alright, 0, 0 is here, and now I go -1 to that, and then -1 to that. Alright, so this is not a function because if I do a vertical line test and I draw a straight line through this shape, I touch it twice. If I end up touching a certain shape twice, it is not a function. Alright, if I do it again over here, I touch it once right there and once right there. Alright, not a function. Alright, does that make sense? I cannot touch this twice because I'm repeating my x values right here. Okay, and right here. I can do that all the way down the whole shape. Alright, here's an example of one that is a function. Here's an example of one that is a function. Right there. X values don't repeat. My x values start here in the negatives, and as I increase, my x values just go up. And remember, x values are what's on this right here, the horizontal plane. Y axis is my vertical. Alright, so I got x, y. There you go. Good, good. In order to draw a Y, you need to do that. Boom. Some people do that. I've seen some people do that too. Put a Y at the top of a thing. Alright? So, that's a function. Alright, that's a function. Because I can do my vertical line test. I don't touch it twice. I only touch it once. Okay? See that? That's my vertical line test. Alright, so right here I'm going to write no. Not a function. And over here I'm going to write yes, because it is a function. Alright? Let's do another example of a no. If I see this, I am repeating x values right here and right here. And if I do a vertical line test, let me zoom in. If I do a vertical line test through the middle of this, I touch this circle twice on the way down on this first quadrant, and then I touch it again down here. Alright, so that is not a function. So we got to know. Not a function. Alright, let's do one more example of a yes. Alright, one more example of a yes, and then I'm going to pass out a worksheet, but I'll let you get a break before you do that. Alright. Yep. After this one right here. Alright, so we got this. Alright. Here's my last example of a yes. Imagine I had something like this, and this, and this. Boom. If I see this, this is still a function. Alright, because if I do my first things first, if I do my vertical line test, I only touch it once. All the way down. I don't have any repeating x values. So this is a function. This is a function. It's all about, does the x values repeat? And they don't. Okay? Good. So we got a yes right here. That's the simplest way to do it with the graphs. Vertical line test. Alright, vertical line test. Look at the difference, because these are the ones that you're going to see the most. These right here. These four. Alright, they may be facing the other way, but these are the most common things you're going to see, especially these two. Yep. So these are my functions, these are not. Okay, if my x values repeat, they're not a function.